I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 10 years. We've got a son, Jake, who's just turned 12, and life until recently seemed pretty normal, boring maybe, but normal. Lisa is the kind of wife who's got a sharp tongue and a quick temper. She's always been bitchy, quick to throw a tantrum if things didn't go her way, but she also knows how to charm when she wants to. Things started feeling off a few months ago. Small stuff first. Little lies she told about where she was going, why she was late, who she was talking to on her phone. I didn't think much of it at first. Honestly, I was busy with work, juggling parenting, trying to keep everything together. But then I noticed she was acting more distant, more secretive. She'd spend hours on her phone, even late at night, and I'd catch her deleting messages or hiding her screen. Then came the signs that really tipped me off. Her phone was suddenly more locked down than ever, and she'd get snippy if I even tried to look. I know I should have just asked her outright, but I felt like I was walking on eggshells already. I didn't want to blow up the whole thing over nothing. Still, I had this gut feeling something was wrong, and it gnawed at me. One day, I decided to do a little digging. Nothing sneaky, just a quick glance at her phone when she wasn't looking. I found a string of texts that didn't sit right. Nothing outright cheating, but enough to make me uncomfortable, flirty comments, talking about a hot weekend she'd had with someone, and a lot of vague references to stress and needing a break. She claimed she was just talking to a coworker, but I knew better. The tone, the timing, the way she'd get defensive when I pressed her on it all added up. Then came the real blow. A week ago, I was scrolling through the photos she'd taken during her recent camping trip with Jake and some other parents from the Boy Scout troop. I'd been meaning to look over them, see how Jake was doing, see if she'd taken pictures of him. But I stumbled on something I never expected. There, by the lake, clear as day in a series of pictures, was Lisa, kissing, touching, doing who knows what with the troop leader, Greg. I couldn't believe my eyes. She was lying on her stomach, her hair in a mess of blonde waves, and Greg was pressed against her, his hand on her waist. The photos weren't just innocent. They were intimate, secret, like they didn't want anyone to see. And I'm telling you, the way she looked, smiling, teasing, clearly enjoying herself, made my stomach turn. I sat there staring at the screen, my heart pounding. I felt sick, betrayed, humiliated. All those times she'd snapped at me for no reason, the little fights about nothing, the stress she'd been under, it all made sense now. She'd been sneaking around, sneaking away, lying about where she was. And she'd been screwing around with some guy from her son's troop, no less. I couldn't just brush it off. I couldn't pretend I hadn't seen what I saw. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't even know where to start. Do I accuse her right away? Do I gather more evidence? My mind was racing. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut and then stepped on all at once. And I knew deep down that everything I thought I knew about my marriage was shattered. After I found those pictures, I couldn't sit still. My mind was spinning, and I kept going over what I'd seen like some sick loop. I mean, I always knew Lisa could be bitchy and manipulative, but this was next level. Cheating on me, sneaking around with someone from Jake's Boy Scout troop, Greg of all people. The man was supposed to be a family man, a leader, someone who should have been trustworthy. Instead, he was just another piece in her game. I decided I had to confront her. But how? I didn't want a shouting match. I wanted answers, and I wanted to see how far gone she really was. So I waited until she was home, and I called her into the living room. She looked annoyed, of course, with that snippy little smirk she always wore when she was trying to act unbothered. "Lisa," I started, voice tight, "I need to talk to you about something. It's serious." She rolled her eyes, but I kept going. "I saw the pictures, Lisa, by the lake. The ones of you with Greg. Care to explain what the hell is going on?" Her face froze for a second, then she laughed, that irritating little laugh she has when she's trying to brush things off. "Oh, that's just a joke, Mike. You're reading too much into it. Greg and I were just friends. It's nothing serious, just some fun we had during the camping trip. You know how people get when they're stressed out. Friends." I cut her off, voice rising. "That's what you call kissing and grabbing each other." "You're lying, Lisa. I saw the pictures. I know you were fucking Greg." My hands were clenched into fists, but I forced myself to stay calm. She scoffed, crossing her arms. "You don't know what you're talking about. You're just jealous because I have a life outside of this boring marriage. Greg's a good guy and we were just messing around. It doesn't mean shit." I stared at her, feeling my blood boil. Every word out of her mouth felt like a slap. She was trying to gaslight me, turn it all around so I'd doubt what I saw, what I knew. But I wasn't buying it. I could see it in her eyes. She knew I had her dead to rights. "I don't care if it was just a kiss," I said through clenched teeth. "You lied to me, cheated on me, and you did it behind my back. How long has this been going on? Since when do you start sneaking around with the troop leader?" Her face twitched. She looked angry now, annoyed that I was calling her out. "You're overreacting, Mike. I haven't done anything wrong. Maybe it was a mistake, but I swear I won't do it again." "You're blowing this way out of proportion." "A mistake," I echoed bitterly. "You think cheating on your husband and lying to his face is just a mistake. You think sneaking around with a guy who's supposed to be a trusted leader for Jake is no big deal." That's when she got really bitchy. Her voice rose, full of venom. "You're just being paranoid, Mike. I don't have to explain myself to you. Maybe if you spent more time with Jake instead of spying on me, you'd see I'm still the same person. I still love you, but you're making this into a drama you don't understand." Her words hit me hard. I felt a mixture of rage, sadness, and just utter disappointment. The woman I married, the woman I loved, was sitting there lying to my face, trying to manipulate me into doubting myself. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to tell her how much she hurt me, but I knew it wouldn't matter. She was the kind of person who'd lie her way out of anything, who'd pretend everything was fine even as she was screwing around behind my back. I told her I needed some time to think, that I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. She just shrugged and went to the kitchen, probably to call Greg or whatever the hell she was planning next. I sat there, staring at the wall, feeling every ounce of my life crumbling around me. I was angry at her, yes, but also devastated. I loved her once, believed in us, and now I was left questioning everything, wondering if I could ever trust her again or if I was just fooling myself. After that confrontation, I didn't sleep much. My mind kept replaying everything I'd seen and heard. The images of Lisa, so carefree and secretive, kept flashing in my head. I felt like a fool. How long had she been lying to me? Was this just a one-time thing, or was there more? The betrayal cut deep, and I was angry at myself for not seeing it sooner, for not noticing how she had been pulling away, sneaking around, hiding her phone. I tried to focus on Jake, on being a good dad, but everything felt hollow. I couldn't shake the feeling that my entire life was built on a lie. The trust I thought we had was shattered. I kept going over her words, her excuses, thinking about how she had lied so smoothly, so convincingly. It was like talking to a stranger, someone I didn't even recognize. The next day, I decided I needed a plan. I wasn't going to just confront her again and hope she'd come clean. No, I needed proof, something concrete. I started digging into her phone, her social media, her emails. I wanted to know if there was more than just Greg. I had to be sure. I found some messages, mostly vague, but enough to confirm she had been in contact with him long before that camping trip. It wasn't just a one-off mistake, it was an affair. While I was doing this, Lisa was acting normal, too normal, almost like she was trying to gaslight me again. She'd come home, act affectionate, act like nothing was wrong. But I knew better. I could see the little cracks in her facade, the way she avoided eye contact, the slight nervousness when I looked at her. I also noticed her behavior around Jake was subtly different. She was more irritable, snapping at him more often. I think she was trying to cover her guilt, but it was obvious she was on edge. I felt a mix of disgust and pity. Pity because she was obviously drowning in her own lies, and disgust because she was dragging me down with her. My plan was simple but cold. I was going to catch her red-handed. I set up a little surveillance, not in a creepy way, but just enough to see if she'd leave her phone or make any more trips to Greg's house or meet up somewhere. I figured if I could catch her again, I'd have undeniable proof. I didn't want to accuse her without evidence anymore. I was tired of her bullshit, tired of feeling like I was losing my mind. One afternoon, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went to the grocery store. I saw my chance. I grabbed it, knowing I had to act quickly. I went through her messages one last time, and there it was, an exchange of explicit texts confirming they weren't just flirting. They were involved in a full-blown affair. What hit me hardest was reading her words, her confession of needing Greg, how she'd planned to leave me but hadn't quite worked up the courage yet. That realization made my stomach turn. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was planning her escape, cheating, lying, manipulating, while I was busy being a good husband and father. I knew I couldn't keep this to myself anymore. I had the proof I needed, but I also knew I had to be careful. Confronting her now, with everything out in the open, would be messy. I had to decide whether to confront her outright or wait for her to slip up again. Either way, I was done pretending everything was okay. I had to face the truth. My marriage was over and Lisa had been playing me for a fool. I sat there in the living room, the phone still in my hand, feeling a mixture of rage and despair. All the pieces had fallen into place, and I knew I had what I needed to finally end this charade. I couldn't believe how blindsided I'd been, how I'd let her manipulate me for so long. The image of her lying on that camping trip, smiling and touching Greg, kept flashing through my mind. I felt sick thinking about the lies she told to cover her tracks, how she'd look me in the eye and lie about innocent dinners with friends, when all along she was screwing around. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time, I had to be strategic. I had to show her I was onto her, that I wasn't going to be played for a fool anymore. I waited until she came back from the grocery store, trying to look calm, like I wasn't boiling inside. When she walked in, I kept my cool. "Lisa," I said, voice steady but cold, "we need to talk. I found your phone and I saw everything. The texts, the pictures, the truth is out now. I know about you and Greg." Her face instantly stiffened, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about? You're crazy. You're just jealous." "Jealous? Yeah, maybe I am," I interrupted, my voice rising. "Jealous because you lied to me for months, cheated behind my back, and then tried to hide it like I'd never find out. That's what I call betrayal, Lisa. You think I don't know you've been sneaking around with Greg? The pictures don't lie. You're a liar and I'm done with it." She scoffed, trying to brush it off. "You don't understand. Greg's just a friend and I was stressed out, okay? You're overreacting. Don't bullshit me," I snapped. "You were screwing him, that's obvious, and you think I'm just supposed to accept this after everything?" Her eyes flickered, but she kept her cool, too cool. "Fine," she said, shrugging. "If you're so damn sure, what are you gonna do about it? Go ahead, leave. It's not like you'd be the first guy who's been dumped." Because his wife got bored and needed a little excitement. That was the moment I lost it. All the anger, all the pain boiled over. I stood up, voice trembling with rage. "You're damn right I'm going to do something. I'm not going to sit here and be your fool anymore. I want a divorce. I want you out of this house. And I want you to never come back. You've betrayed everything we had. You lied, you cheated on me, and you're trying to pretend this is just some stupid mistake. No, I'm done." Her face twisted into a sneer, like she was trying to look tough. "Oh, so now you're the victim, just like that, typical Mike. You think you're so perfect, so innocent. Well, newsflash, nobody's perfect. Maybe I got tired of pretending our marriage was enough. Maybe I wanted some real fucking excitement. You're just too damn boring." I felt my jaw tighten. "You're the boring one, Lisa. You're the one who's been lying and cheating and screwing around behind my back. I don't care what your excuses are. I don't care if you call me jealous or insecure. I just want out. And I want Jake to know the truth someday, that his mother was capable of this." She looked furious now, her voice rising again. "You're not going to do anything. You're just a pathetic little man who's been too scared to face the reality." I cut her off. "Enough. I've heard enough of your lies. I'll be packing my things tonight. You're not welcome here anymore. And if you try to contact Greg or anyone else, I'll make damn sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are." I grabbed my coat and headed for the door, feeling like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. The betrayal cut so deep I could hardly breathe. It was like my entire life had been built on a lie, and now it was collapsing all around me. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for sure. My wife had shattered everything I believed in, and I was never going to look at her the same way again. That night I stayed up late packing my things, trying to keep my composure, but inside I was a mess. Every item I threw into my suitcase felt heavy with betrayal. Lisa sat in the living room watching me, her face unreadable but her eyes flashing with contempt. I knew she was angry, maybe even scared, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I was finally taking control. I'd made up my mind, I was leaving and I wasn't coming back. As I packed, I kept thinking about everything I'd learned, everything I'd seen. The photos, the texts, her lies. It all hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd spent so many years trying to make this work, trying to stay loyal to keep our family together. But she had been planning her exit, sneaking around with Greg, enjoying some secret life I never knew about. She'd lied to me, manipulated me, and now she was trying to act like she was the victim. That made me angry all over again. Before I finished packing, I sat her down. I wanted to say something, anything, but I was too drained. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "You're a piece of shit, Lisa. You thought you could get away with this. You thought I'd never find out. Well, I did, and I'm done playing your fool. Don't try to contact me or Jake unless you want the truth about what you really are to come out. Because I swear I'll tell everyone everything. Your lies, your cheating, everything." Her lips curled into that familiar smirk like she was enjoying her last shot at control. "You're just mad because I don't need you anymore. Jake's better off without a boring loser like you. You're just jealous Greg's getting what you never could." That was the final straw. I stood up, my fists clenched, and told her she could keep her lies, her sneaky little affairs, and her fake tears. I told her I'd make sure Jake knew the truth someday, and that she'd regret everything she'd done to our family. As I headed to the door, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Relief that I was finally out of her grasp, but sadness because I knew our marriage was beyond saving now. I left that house feeling emptier than I ever had in my life. The betrayal haunted me, but part of me also felt a strange sense of liberation. I knew I had to move on, rebuild my life, and protect Jake from all the lies. I promised myself I wouldn't let her destroy me completely, even if she tried. Because at the end of the day, I realized that some betrayals cut so deep, they leave scars you never fully recover from. But you do learn to survive, barely, but you do. The days that followed were a blur of legal papers, moving boxes, and trying to hold everything together for Jake. I threw myself into the process of separation, not because I wanted to punish her further, but because I needed to protect what little remained of my sanity and my relationship with my son. I kept my distance from Lisa, not out of hatred entirely, but because I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. Every time I thought about the betrayal, a part of me wanted to break down, but I held it together for Jake, for myself. What struck me most in all of this was how much I'd underestimated Lisa. I always thought I knew her, but her true colors had been hidden behind a bitchy smirk and a facade of normalcy. It was a wake-up call. I learned that sometimes people you trust the most are capable of the deepest betrayals, and that the moral compass they pretend to have is often just a lie they tell themselves. I also learned something about myself. I was stronger than I thought. I survived the shock, the pain, the disappointment. It hurt like hell, but I refused to let her win completely. I took my time to heal, to figure out what I really wanted, and to decide how I wanted to move forward. I knew I'd have to rebuild the trust that was broken, not just with Jake, but with myself. Looking back, I see that this experience has changed me. It's made me more cautious, a little more guarded. But it's also taught me the importance of honesty, of not ignoring the little signs that something's wrong. If I could give any advice, it would be this: trust is fragile, and when it's broken, you have to decide whether to fight for it or to walk away. And sometimes, walking away is the only way to find your peace. As for Lisa, well, I hope she finds what she's looking for. I hope she realizes that lies and betrayal come with consequences, but I also hope she learns that honesty, no matter how difficult, is what truly matters. As for me, I'm moving on. I'm focusing on Jake, on myself, and on rebuilding what I lost. And honestly, it's going to be a long road, but I know I'll get there, one step at a time.